Hello, everybody. Long time no speak. Now, you may be familiar with this channel from the handful of videos I've posted regarding Theatrhythm Final Fantasy. Now, the new one coming out, the demo we have right now, gives basically enough to work through. It gives you a good feel of the game, lets you understand just what's available, and all in all feels really comfortable. I must say, I'm looking forward to when this releases. I already bought it ahead of time, just waiting later in this week when it actually releases and I can play it. As of right now, though, I'm simply stuck in the demo. Now, the biggest difference from this game versus the cabinet that I played is that my controls now are a little limited. So really, the only controller I have available right now are the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons with the default controller, which so far it's been working out alright. I've been using the left and right bumpers, and then the actual control sticks for my arrows. So that's about what I usually do. If I have to hit a bunch of buttons very rapidly, I'll usually transfer my thumb over to the A button. But for the most part, it is significantly more difficult for me, as I've never actually played the 3DS version of this game. I started on the cabinet with a friend who introduced me to this as a series. I knew Theatrhythm existed, I just never touched it before. So for the most part, my familiarity is from the bumpers and actual little knobs to work with. So all in all, it's been a big hurdle to overcome, but regardless, it still feels like Theatrhythm, it still plays like Theatrhythm, and now the best part about this is that we are in English. I can read all of this. So, if you're familiar with the cabinet version of Theatrhythm, it's all in Japanese. I can't read a single word of it. I'm not cultured enough. I was not able to learn. I'll be honest, I didn't put much effort into actually reading when, for the most part, all you needed to do was know what buttons to press. That'll come into play later on in this, but as for right now, the actual overlay, you have a story mode, but then you can go back and you can see all your missions available. So, probably my favorite part about this is the party selection. Before, I just went with the characters I enjoyed. But in this one, now you can actually see what abilities they come with. In addition, you can change out what abilities they're using at the moment, as they appear to be limited to 3. Now, the unit types are different. It looks like we are missing out. The Hunter type was the agility type before, and also the Summoner looks to have been mixed in with a Magic type. Magic and Summoner, I don't think there's a difference anymore. The stats they come with: HP, Strength, Magic, Spirit, Agility, Luck. HP is obviously how many hits you can take in battle. Strength, I'm assuming, is just physical damage attacks. Magic is magic damage attacks, and I think they transfer into skills as well. Spirit, I'm not really sure about what it is so far. I'm waiting to hear or see more on that. Agility, I'm also not sure as well. I know Noctis has some skills that scale with it, like Armiger. And then the last stat, Luck, I'm assuming relates to chest drops. I'm not entirely sure myself. Summons are available. You can select them. They are no longer restricted to the main character you're using as your leader. So from your summons available, they all come with a random thing now. They aren't restricted, so Bahamut can get any of the 3 at any of the 3 levels. It looks like there's a silver, gold, or rainbow quality, which is actually the progression of how powerful it is. The summon speed is actually affected by the summon, so it appears that Phoenix is a fast spawn, but at the same time, it's also the weakest of the bunch, but it does restore your HP when it spawns if you need it. From there you see it's moderate fire damage. From there you go to heavy, so heavy ice, thunder, just an aspect of damage from a handful of the others, which charge a bit slower, and then the last couple deal massive damage, which appears to be Alexander, Odin, and Knights of the Round. So obviously they deal the most damage, but you might only summon them once versus the faster ones who you may get 2 or possibly 3 depending on how long your song is. Airship and Moogle are still selectable. Before, in the cabinet version, you actually had to log in online and handle it all there. You were able to select what you wanted to use. The party you were able to customize from the cabinet itself, and it would save and persist from your game whenever you would log in with your Nessica card. Now, that's about it for the characters. They do have, I'm assuming that the hunter types are the best for actually grinding out chests to get more items to use, but it remains to be seen. I haven't done enough testing myself. The difficulties are still the same. It looks like Transcendent is now Supreme. It's still the classic hardest difficulty available, and it's definitely the hardest difficulty available. One thing to go over is the playstyle. The standard you see in the upper right, this is Theatrhythm. This is your standard Theatrhythm. However, one twist to it in this version is that your party can die now. So HP means a little more. In addition, there are items available to use that are automatically consumed when required. So if you're coming across a hard battle, you might bring a Phoenix down, which before, if you died on the cabinet, your party would just revive willy-nilly, nothing required. Now you actually need to have a Phoenix down if you fall in combat in order to get back up. High potions and potions are used when your health is low, and they give a specific amount of HP. So for harder, more difficult songs, it may be worth bringing in a healer, someone with an actual cure ability. But it means that your party setup is a little more important now in terms of what you intend to do with this game. If you just intend to play songs, it's really not too hard. But doing the harder ones, definitely it may become something that you were required to do. As I know, there are a handful of songs we have yet to see which are in fact difficult. In addition, the control scheme is a handicap to work with. One thing to note, both of these very familiar songs to me because I really enjoyed playing them on the cabinet version, is that my triple S full chain is now a single S with a barely scraping by. And on the S rank notice, you'll see that there are some of these I scored below that 8 million mark, but it still gives an S. So I believe S rank is 7.5 million points. And then that S rank persists all the way to, okay, yeah, so 7.5 to 8.5, and then 8.5 to 9, and then 9 million and beyond for your S, double S, triple S. And then obviously perfect chain as you hit every note. Perfect critical, which I haven't really gotten on any songs because it is exceptionally difficult, is all critical hits noted. So it's still about the same Final Fantasy, but in this case the actual requirements behind each one are shifted a little. I do enjoy the party setup, that's definitely a favorite of mine. As for the songs and their difficulties, there is an added difficulty from the control scheme. Now, if I had a Theatrhythm lineup, I really wouldn't have too much of a problem because I'd have my usual available. This stinky little thing is definitely hard to work with, but I'm making do with what I have, and I'm definitely looking forward for when this actually releases. Now, another very enjoyable part that I'm happy is here are the series quests. So these series quests are actually what allow you to unlock more songs, it appears, and you'll see that key I have, you need those keys in order to unlock a new one. Now, I can't do that as this is a demo, so I'm restricted with which ones I have available. But when you actually go in, so if we go into 14, it loads up and you have a little miniature map. I wouldn't really call it a map, but it's definitely a lineup of all the songs available. You can see you have a map of where you're at, what's unlockable, and then all this beyond are more songs you get later after I have the game available. Now, each mission you see comes with a quest, so get 60% or higher good or better judgment, clear without using items, clear without a game over. And what's even more interesting is the songs actually progress from the game itself. So for 14, for example, you're able to spawn into any of the 3 grand cities. So you have Gridania, Ul'dah, and Limsa Lominsa, which are all in their respective areas, and these are the actual overworld themes around. Following that, you have two available. You have the classic battle theme, which in this case is adapted to the one around Limsa. Then you have the Fate OST, which spawns when you're in a boss fight. Past that, Torn from the Heavens is, I think the first time you hear that is the End of the Realm Reborn campaign, when you are in the Praetorium series type area. And then past there is the boss theme, is where they have it. And then this is where I got the key, and it locks you here. You can't go any further. But as for these, they play the same as if you were to select them normally. You'll see actually in the bottom here, allies deal double physical damage on this specific map. So the goal is to defeat 2 or more King Behemoth enemies. And part of being able to do that, you probably want to select harder hitting characters and probably forego the treasure looting. As for the harder hitting characters, your guess is as good as mine. They're all pretty weak right now, unless you actually get the stat up items. There's a few. I have a handful of HP and Spirit, as I don't really know what they do, but I have been using the others on characters I intend to use later. You do get scrolls which allow you to give abilities to heroes. So I could give Tifa any one of these that I want, and then you're able to select that ability from here. Now, is that important? It remains to be seen, but I'm sure we'll see plenty of good abilities, and it'll allow more versatility with who you bring along. The stat items are nice because they'll actually allow you to handle more things with your favorite character. For example, the Steel Scroll appears you can teach it to any character you want. So if you're trying to get more items, that may be the way to go, putting that on 4 of your favorite characters. Now, I don't really want to play too much here right now. The setup I'm planning on using, so before with the cabinet version, I actually had to port right into the cabinet itself to get audio. Now I'm not sure if video was possible, but audio required this little hookup. So if you've looked through my videos, you'll notice the newer ones have a better sound quality, which is actually from the cabinet itself. Now that's thanks to this little adapter here I have. It's just a dinky little thing, but it has an added ridge on the end, which I believe is what was required to get the audio into my phone as I recorded directly. Now the actual camera setup worked good on the cabinet, and I actually preferred it that way because I liked having my hands on the controls so you could see. Now, with this, seeing how it's on the Switch, and it also has a little diagram that reflects what buttons I hit while I'm playing, won't really be necessary. So I've gone ahead and I picked up a little doohickey here. This is supposed to allow me to actually route the HDMI through it from the Nintendo Switch to my monitor and then feed that into my computer so I can actually stream. So I'm hoping it does that in addition to audio as well, obviously. And I am hoping that I'm able to make some higher quality videos. I don't know how many I want to make. I'm awfully busy, and in fact, I just got back from work right now and this arrived, which is why I'm making the video. I'll push this out before Theatrhythm fully releases, but all in all, I'm really looking forward to it. So just to give an idea on how this plays, I'll go ahead and play through the one. You'll see the diagram available, but otherwise it's still the same Theatrhythm you know and love. You have controls that you're able to set how fast, how loud, if the background has a mask because it's too bright or too flashy. You're able to set the timings as well, which is kind of important. I've heard that some TVs have a much longer delay than others. I'll need to look into that myself. You have animations you can trigger, also the SFX. I prefer the original. The cabinet one is just the one that rings for me, so if you don't like it, tough luck. It's staying on original. The only 2 trigger colors you have, which also strike me as odd, so this is the first, and then I'm assuming this was made as like a colorblind version. But one thing to note is that there's no longer, at least as of right now, there aren't any hold arrows. So before you would notice I had these blue hold arrows, which were actually your control stick, so you'd hold up and you would persist to hold up for that entire amount, then release it when it was over. They don't have that anymore, and there are a few songs, one from Final Fantasy V specifically, that's available. The track has changed a bit to accommodate this as it doesn't have those held arrows anymore. I'll go ahead and I'll play this one so you can get a good idea of how exactly the new UI looks if you are interested. It is quite nice. I do enjoy it. I like having the added information available. It's very helpful. In addition, it appears item drops will be a lot more important if you plan on actually farming this game out or playing a little more serious. So, without further ado, this quality will be incredibly bad, but let's see how it works. Oof, it's a lot more difficult on the controller, and I will say I need to find something that works a little better for myself. You'll notice when there's a lot of arrows with bumpers, I tend to struggle, which I mean, it's just hard, man. I'm not used to these controls yet, but I'm hoping that I'm able to. I did score a little higher than I did last time, and you'll see it, the XP I got, the Rhythmia in the upper right, XP on the actual blue screen below with how much damage you did, and then what items you got. Now, these have quests with them, so in this case, defeat 2 or more King Behemoth, I was not able to do. Some of these are available to do, but they are exceptionally hard, and also how I am capped at level 30 will not help as well. Now, I think the biggest benefit that this version has over the cabinet is that you can play as many songs as you want. Before you would insert however many credits are required, and then you would get 3 songs out of it, either one extended or one extended in standard or 3 standard. Now this is a little more lenient, seeing as you just buy the game and that's it, you're ready to go. There's not much more to show right now though. There's a records page. You kind of had that on the website as well for the cabinet version, but now it's all in-game. You're able to see your collection and what all it comes with. Feats, records. So feats, for example, it's just accomplish the thing. So you'll see achieve X amount of points on a song, so add a difficulty, activate abilities, do whatever for the first time. Pretty straightforward. A lot of it's restricted right now. There's probably a handful more I'm able to do, but I think this will be put on the back burner for now until it actually releases. Records, you have things like playtime, what you've done. Yeah, so it looks you only have 30 songs available, 14 of them have a transcendent difficulty. I'll probably clean up the basic scores. I'll get all 30 just to knock them out of the way. There's also the summon stones given in Profanet cards, or Profa cards, and part of these is the multiplayer aspect. I'm assuming you're going to be able to use your friends or acquaintances' summons if you have them in some kind of relation. I'm not sure if you'll actually have to friend them or if there will be something in game that kind of communicates between the two. Series class multi-battle, battle party. Battle party is basically what you've done in combat. Multi-battle is a little more difficult. It's going to be online versus. I'm not sure how exactly it's going to be, like if you tie in a song or you get close, if you'll do a different song. I'm not really too sure. There's a lot though. I definitely need to play this more, get a better feel, get used to the controls, and really just all in all unlock. Collection is restricted. This is the only card you're able to get right now, and it looks like it does actually give a bonus to the Warrior of Light. I'm not sure if duplicate cards will be available, but on the cabinet version, cards increase the maximum level a character could reach. N would increase it by 1, R by 2, P by 3, and then S by 4. So I think the max level cap was actually 200. With collecting enough cards, it didn't matter which ones you had, just as long as you had enough and it added up. In addition, it looks like summons get cards as well, so I'm assuming that these will affect how strong a summon is, seeing as there's a bonus effect question mark at the bottom. Enemies have one as well, and I believe that... Okay, so yeah, they only have special cards available on enemies, but I'm assuming that will probably just make them take more damage from your hits. Then you have albums and memories, which don't seem to do anything. I don't see any special effect on them. They're just a look and see. This is an old memory from Final Fantasy. This one is... Oh, I'm sorry. This one is from Final Fantasy 2. This is from Final Fantasy 5, I think, is it? Actually, not too sure. It might be... I actually think it's 4. Then again, I'm not too familiar with the NES. Like, these ones are the updated. This was the mobile version of Final Fantasy V. The characters in their own special outfits. And it looks like some of them are repeated. I see a few Barts. Blue Mage, Time Mage, Ninja, Dragoon. It's pretty neat. It's a neat little side thing. Final Fantasy VII. I guess we'll have to wait and see though. There's going to be a lot more that becomes available after the game fully releases, but as of right now, I'm really excited. I like it. I'm happy that Theatrhythm is continuing, as the cabinet service discontinued about a year after COVID hit. Pretty miserable, but it's still playable all in all. I just don't have any online records anymore. I'm not able to launch the cabinet version login through my Nessica card and see all my S's and beyond. Yeah, that's about it as of right now. You can see it goes out to Chocolate Mystery Dungeon, Final Fantasy series. I'm not sure what that's going to include. I think that might be the special songs, or no, Theatrhythm Final Fantasy would be the special ones. This remains to be seen. We got Type 0, Acidia, Crystal Chronicles, and Tactics, Mystic Quest. So these are the other, not really spin-off Final Fantasies, but more like a one and done. There weren't many of them. Crystal Chronicles had a handful, but I do not believe they had any from the Ring of Fate series. I did not hear any of those from the cabinet, so perhaps we can get some on this. I'm not sure if they've released a comprehensive list stating what all we will be getting. I haven't looked through if they have though, so as of right now, that's all I have on this. I'm looking forward to release. I hope you are too. I'm not advertising the game in any way, shape, or form, but I will say one thing. I definitely appreciate this series, as this is probably the only rhythm game I've ever gotten into, and I'm excited to have another rendition of it. Even if the controls are a little wonky, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great, and perhaps you'll get some more content out of me with it. Other than that, I'll see you next time.